So I'm on my way home from North Cheyenne Mountain, and these mountains generally have some really good stuff to say. So a lot of stuff was coming in to my mind as I was walking and logging in as we were walking. I forget to include Hondo. He's now a part of the fam, especially part of the hiking fam. He's definitely doing that drill. But it occurred to me because I sometimes will see quite a few people and sometimes I'll see no one. It's kind of hit or miss, and today there were a number of people that I heard, and oh, there goes a beautiful mama deer. I don't know if that can be seen back there or not. That's the other thing. I see usually a lot of critters. This is where I've seen the most deer, and this is where I saw the bobcat. That was amazing, and lots of birds, huge amount of birds. But I was wondering as I was walking, because there were people that I passed, a couple, but mostly I could just hear them, around. And it occurred to me the few people that I passed, the very different experiences that I had as I was passing them, or that they were having, or whatever, because I was thoroughly enjoying myself. When I was hearing people, they were there, just kind of doing their obtuse thing. That's not nice of me to say, but it was almost like, how dare you? You're in a sacred place. To be like, a rock concert in a synagogue or something, when it's supposed to be service time or something. I don't know, it just seemed inappropriate. But that's my bias, that I'm there because it's a sacred place to me, and that's how I rock out, is quiet, contemplative time. But anyway, they're having their experience, and I shouldn't say obtuse, because they were having their experience. It was a couple of people, and they were talking and having a lively conversation. I wasn't spooking in to know what they were talking about. I didn't pay attention, to eavesdrop. I was just noting that what a difference in experience we are having, between us and, me and them. And then there was a dude that came jogging, by, and he was, real serious looking and, real intense, just looked very serious. And I have no idea. I mean, I don't stop and interview people, what are you doing here? What's your motivation? Why are you here? Why do you have that pinched up face? What's that about? I have no idea. I just was noting that there's a bunch of different people, and we're all doing, whatever we're doing, and we all have, a similar motivation, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't all be on this side of this mountain. We want to be here for some reason, and that's similarity enough, is that we're all on this mountain together, or on this trail together. But he looked like he was, intensely working out, is what I would guess, and he was enjoying it. It didn't seem like he wasn't enjoying it, just that he was very serious about what he was doing, and he wasn't, rude or anything. There's a couple people that, just walk by. They're like, pretend like. That's my favorite, when you're on a trail. Hondo can't get himself put together. He's feeling a little nervous in the car still. But there are people that just, you're gonna pass on a trail and really not say anything. You're really just not gonna say anything. Who raised you? Sorry about that. Hondo shift me out of drive. That's happened a few times. I should know by now. I've said should twice, and I don't love that word, but anyhow, people did. There were a couple that walked by me that did exactly that. It may have been the ones that were, up on the upper trail making a lot of noise. I'm not sure, but that always amuses me. Like, okay, seems rude, and that just common courtesy would kick in. But hey, I'm not here to be Miss Manners or teach etiquette lessons on the side of a mountain. I'm there for my own agenda. That just seems like good common practice. But I mean, to talk about the other someone and make them invisible, like, no. And my favorite is when I speak and they just don't even acknowledge. Now, I've learned not to even bother, not because it hurts my feelings, but because it makes them super, super freaking uncomfortable if they don't acknowledge them. Like, I don't want to unnecessarily push people to a weird place. That's pretty fragile. Okay, but anyhow, so more long-winded apparently. I stopped because I just had the inclination to really get busy with a tree that kind of called to me and said, hey, sit down right here. There's a nice big old giant rock that was underneath her, and so I sat down. I touched her, and I didn't go all out with the huggy thing because I just didn't feel inspired to. Sometimes I do, but I didn't. I just got the, just make contact. Oh, because it was covered in sap, that's why. So I was much more for my benefit than the trees. She was all covered in sap, but she's beautiful, and this nice big rock. And I sat down and I was thinking about it, what makes the experience so different for people that, like, where does the hateration nation come from, where does that, why? And I understand psychologically where that roots from. I get it. I get the track of events of how it is that people can make it to a very hateful place, and not be willing to open up their shell enough to even say hello, or get so intensely focused on something that just lock everything out. I get it psychologically, but spiritually, that it's so incongruent. Seems like if we're open in spirit, we're open everywhere, that we'd be open to kindness and a positive experience, no matter how it shows up. But that's just my take on it, and have to allow for people to have their own experience, because their facial expression may not belie what the truth is of how positive the experience is for them. And I'm not there to bring the sunbeams to everybody else, and they're not there to bring them to me. It just seems kind of like Mother Nature's here, she's gorgeous, and you're locked in on something completely different with the conversation that was happening on the upper trail, and blah blah blah. A lot of judgment there, it sounds like, but I mean, that was just what was running through my mind. So anyhow, as I was sitting there, some people walked by, some elderly people, I think Asian of some kind, non-English speaking, I don't guess, because they didn't seem to understand what I said. So I caught quickly that, don't say anything too much, because it makes it really awkward. We have a lot of tourists here, and I believe they were Chinese, but just based on the language that I was hearing, I kind of know a little bit about Chinese. I studied it very, very briefly before I figured out it was way too hard. But pardon me, I got a rotary circle. That people lose their mind on these. They really do. They really do. So I'm going to let the person behind me sit tight for a second. That person's ready to lose their mind probably, but I'm zipping now. So anyhow, they walked by and they engaged immediately. I mean, I was sitting on this rock. Hondo was eating a tumbleweed as usual. And he captures a lot of people's attention because he's a puppy, and he's super cute. I'm not biased at all. But they were already, like way down the trail, like, oh, and so interested. And I don't have a problem, especially if I'm pulled over on a trail. That'd be sort of really like me just not wanting to even acknowledge someone on the trail to say hello. It'd be even dumber with them sitting there parked. You have to practically brush knees with me to pass me and not even acknowledge that you're, looking at my adorable ass puppy. That would be really rude, and just unnecessary. But they were so adorable. Anyway, I was thinking, wow, that's so cool that this cluster of like 5 or 6 of them have come, and it's looked like possibly maybe a great grandmother, a grandmother, and a mother, maybe a mother, but they were, like I said, in their 70s, 80s, and maybe even one that was poking into the 90s. It looked like there could have been possibly 3 generations. So I was in awe right there. My grandparents died, both of them, in their like mid-50s, and so that's what I thought old age was. When I was younger, it took me a long time to realize that, 50-something, the age I am now. That's not when you're supposed to die. That's not normal. But at any rate, I was taken with that, and they were just so delighted with the Hondo, and they stopped, and I, just was letting them, because I realized, they I don't think they understand me. So, I just pointed to them like, do you want to pet them? And they were so sweet and just smiling ear to ear, and there's a shuttle at the bottom of that trail, which isn't all that far. So I thought, they probably took the shuttle up here, and they're walking, the less strenuous part of the trail, you know, good for them. And I said, enjoy your hike. And they just kind of smiled like, we have no idea what you said, but thanks, you know. But they were just so sweet and so engaging and very respectful. So anyway, they were just really, really sweet. And I thought, what a weird dichotomy that we've got people that are just completely disinterested in noticing that there's anything on this trail naturally, much and organically, much less any other visitors on this trail. We have somebody who's so focused, you know, on why he's here, and there's zero, you know, acknowledgement of anyone else on the trail. And then we've got others that are, you know, very much engaged with the appreciation. I could hear them oohing and aahing before they ever saw Hondo. I could just hear them on the lower part of the trail, oohing and aahing. Oh, you know, because it's beautiful. It's absolutely breathtaking. These mountains and these trails are gorgeous, and so they're taking in the beauty of the trail itself. And they're engaging each other, they were speaking, and then engaging a foreigner to them, you know, and her dog, and appreciating all of it. It was just, their faces were beaming. It was just such a magical thing. Like, I love when people love life, you know? I love when people love their own life so much that they aren't hateful. They just are able to engage in a way that, you know, really says, gosh, I like this. This is fun. This is really neat. You know, I'm really enjoying myself. And the others, not so much. And like I said, I don't know that they're not. It's just the facial expression typically says quite a bit. And when people look pained, I'm gonna, you know, kind of wonder, you know, why? You know, the smile muscles are different than the I'm in pain muscles, but I don't know. I don't know what people's inspiration is for how they, you know, contort their face or not. I just know when I'm not seeing what looks like a friendly face or an inviting face. And so it kept me on the rock for a few minutes, just sitting there and thinking, how is it, you know, that we manage to go into a place where we cannot even bring ourselves to the thought of opening up to 30 seconds or, you know, a minute and a half, whatever, or 10 seconds, or even a gesture, nothing? Is it really just a poor socialization? Is it really that? Which, you know, that's part of the disconnection of the people that teach disconnection. You know, that's, as parents, that's what we show our kids. If our kids are not polite, or they don't, you know, acknowledge common courtesies because it wasn't demonstrated to them, or they're just straight buttholes. However, you know, most of us, we understand common courtesy because we were taught common courtesy, you know, and then it's supposed to be reinforced in kindergarten where you learn everything you're supposed to know, you know, about basic general stuff. However, you know, I was just puzzled with how is it that you have some people, and it's not a cultural thing, you know, it's not a cultural thing that the elderly people from possibly China, wherever they were from, you know, it's not that is their culture specifically, that it's because they're that they automatically are able, you know, it's that. It isn't necessarily that. I can't attribute it to that, because then we'd have to say, well, all people, you know, and it's not true. It's just, it's something socially, and it's something within a person that, you know, even on my worst days, it actually makes me feel alive again, at least a little, like somebody breathed a little bit of remembrance into me of, oh yeah, I'm alive, I'm not just invisible. When somebody says, oh, hello, you know, or whatever, I'm usually pretty, you know, okay with acknowledging other people, because I don't like it when people do that. And so I go out of my way. There's too many people that are made invisible and othered for some reason or another. And so I personally, that's part of my mission on earth, is to, you know, not allow myself to other people by not even acknowledging them, just treating them like they're invisible. Some people prefer, they want to be, you know, and if they're just keeping their head down and absolutely, you know, not willing or wanting to engage, then those are the people that, no, I'm not going to enter your world with my, you know, my worldly vision of saving everybody from their loneliness. That's not what I'm about. It's just when I see someone who's just kind of poking along and looks like they might be, okay with oh, hey, most people it's not an issue. It's just kind of a common understanding, a courtesy that, you pass someone where your breasts might touch. I've had that happen where we're on a trail and we're going to pretend like that we're not even here trying to negotiate this, like we're super intimate for about 10 seconds. It's super awkward. I mean, super awkward. And I've only had it happen a couple of times, but it has. And it blew my mind. Like, you're really not going to say anything. You're really, okay. And it got super, super tight a couple of times. Only, I think, literally like twice. And it was only women. So I can't imagine getting that up close and personal. I'd have to risk, falling off the edge probably. But, and just hang from a tree limb or something until that passed. But anyhow, it was fascinating to me to watch and see the difference and the unfolding, of how it is that we show up in the world, and what drives those moments of I just want to be invisible to leave me alone, or I wish I wasn't so invisible, somebody please speak to me. And then others who are like, oh hey, I'm here, just being me, and and I'm there just watching all of it like, wow. We have the melting pot truly is not just the United States, it's the whole world. Because we're all interconnected, and so everybody can travel pretty much everywhere on the planet, and so you have little bits of everybody everywhere, and seeing it. And it's not cultural, believe me, it's not cultural. I grew up in a tourist town, and this is incredibly touristy here in Colorado Springs, and so I see all kinds of people, and the high traffic spots, those are the ones to really do some people watching and get super fascinated and super annoyed sometimes, with the blatant and obvious disrespect towards one another. But generally it's just that very, like, we're in intimate tight quarters here, and how do you handle that? And the people who just go into, I'm not here, you're not here, I'm gonna just pretend this isn't happening. Those are my favorite. Like, oh my God, really? They're my favorite in terms of laughing about it later. The good God, that was awkward, the real super ones. And then, the other ones, I just kind of, it puzzles me usually for a few seconds afterwards to go, I wonder what's happening in that person's world that I actually had to step up into a brush, into a bush in order to let you pass, and you have nothing to say whatsoever, because I don't want to have that intimate, crossover with you. I step off the trail and get way the flippity-flu out of the way, because I don't like to have those close quarters with people. But, no thank you, no acknowledgement, no nothing, and the common courtesy thing, like what drives us to be so self-absorbed or so unconcerned with somebody else's, what they're doing. And it really surprises me, where people are. And to me, it has a lot to do with where they really are in their spirit, in their soul. And, the soul is what feeds us. It's what gives us the nourishment and the structure that we build our interactions on. If we're hating life, we're hating ourselves, we're hating other people, then we're not likely to interact socially very well. We'll be very tight-lipped, or we might be courteous enough, but thank you, passive aggressive and junk like that, just, it's not like it's really courteous. It's just saying the words with a very ugly overtone or undertone, however it is, with an ugly tone. So it's really rooted in, to me, a very fundamental spot that, making a quick judgment based on someone's facial expression is, not a good idea. Interacting with someone, though, and getting it consistent, even for a minute or so, that consistent tight-lipped, or non-acknowledgement, like you're not even here, that kind of thing. I find it difficult to want to go into interview session with people very long about, ooh, if you're nasty just right off the jump, how do you expect that to ever feel better for you? How many people do you suppose are going to want to even try to reach out to you, or, you know, it's not anybody else's job to save you from your bad day. It's not anybody else's job to save me from my bad day. I definitely am out of the business of, you know, jumping in when I see people that look grumpy. You know, grumpy red fairy's the last one I'm going to try to save, because I don't try to save anybody. However, if I see someone that looks like they're, you know, open to it, then absolutely. And, you know, I've been shocked a few times that I'm pretty friendly with just about everybody. I'm not unfriendly to anybody. I will just not go out of my way with some that just look like they're not going to receive that well. And especially those that are, you know, the kill them with kindness thing, that's a passive aggressive thing. Somebody acts like a jerk to me, you know, I'm just going to cut that short. I'm not going to return the favor, and I'm certainly not going to go, well, thank you so much, pour the candy coated garbage on it. None of that. That's just, you know, it's stupid, and it's passive aggressive, and it's not cool in my opinion. But, you know, people that I have gone out of my way with that just seem like they're kind of shy or whatever, you know, just make sure when I go into the grocery store, there's a couple people like that I just, you know, hi, and meet them at their level, because they do engage. It's just very minimally, but they look like they're kind of taking steps towards wanting to, you know, poke their toe out in a safe place. And, you know, it's safe enough to say, yeah, I'm not going to bite your head off. I'm not going to, you know, do something weird. I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge you. It's okay if you look me in the eye without dying. You know, I'm not one of those Medusa types that'll, you know, you're going to turn to stone any second looking my direction. And I actually talked to a lady in my the close grocery store to me one time. You know, she was helping me because I screwed up the self-checkout. Did something wrong, you know, and I had to call someone over to please help me. And I said, I'm so sorry, I know you're busy with, you know, real problems, and this is the third time I've done this this week. And it was, and she just looked at me and she said, what? Is your face furrowed up? And see, that's where that facial expression doesn't always belie, you know, what's in somebody's mind. And exactly, sometimes there's an incongruence. And I looked and I said, I'm sorry, you know, did I miss something? And she said, people are usually mad at the machine that they have to call and wait and, you know, whatever. And I said, really? You know, I mean, I was really shocked, like, but that was my fault. You know, I did that, and I'm sorry, because it was busy as hell. It was like Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. I want to say it was even Christmas Eve. I think that's what it was. I totally botched it. And it was the third time that week. I was super upset with myself, you know, but not her. It wasn't her fault, you know, and there were a million people in the line, you know. So she was just super stressed, and I said, you know, it's the holiday season, and I really hope that, you know, you can hear me, that I'm sorry that I put an extra step in your day here with, you know, unnecessary, just not understanding how to use this properly, and I hope you have a beautiful holiday. Do you know that woman and I became like tight friends? My grocery store friend, my grocery store hookup, that when I go in there, I always look for her. And I typically, whatever day I need to go, I'll go on the day that I know she's going to be there. She has a set schedule, and I'll go in and look for her. And even if she's not at the register or those self-checkout where I usually go, I'll go hunt her down and say, where is she? You know, or tell her I said hi. And I check in with her. And the last time I did, she told me her mother died. And I just was so shocked, because, you know, she's not my friend, but I said, can I give you a hug? Would that be all right? Would you be all right? And she said, oh, please. And that woman gushed for probably 10 minutes that she didn't have any friends. She had no kids. Her mother was pretty much her life. She never got married or had kids, because her mother was one of those that kind of expected her to take care of her, and she did. And she was an only child, so she had no mother and father anymore. She had no brother and sister. She had no children. She had nobody. And I said, who's helping you, you know, keep yourself put together now? You know, who's helping you with moving the things out of your house? And, you know, because she lived with her, her mother lived with her, and things like that. And she said, oh, I don't know. And that comes to a, you know, point of, well, I'm not, you know, jumping in to offer my services necessarily. I don't, you know, just blindly go into those places, and I don't know her that well. But I said, oh my goodness, you know, I hope that you have some people that can help you with it. And she said, well, I do have some friends here at work that I can ask, and that I'm going to. And, you know, I said, well, when I come back in, you know, I'll check and see, you know, how things went for you. But that's what happened. happens sometimes, not always. Sometimes we open those Pandora's box and people will lay every trouble they have on you. But I've been going to the grocery store for a year and a half now, and known her a long time, as part of that process now. So I kind of knew well enough that she understood boundaries, and she does, but she literally gushed, her eyes filled with tears, and she's like, thank you so much. People are just desperate. Truly, they are. They're desperate to be seen and not seen by a monster. I didn't say seen as a monster. I mean seen by one. Please don't look me in the eye if you're mean, or please don't see the monster in me, and it's like, it almost scares people, the intimacy of feeling naked, when we're feeling raw or we're feeling vulnerable. If we feel like people can read that and we're not necessarily in a place where we think we can defend ourselves adequately, or we've not been able to defend ourselves, we just kind of reach a point where we're raw and, tapped out, and I'm not a savior of any kind. However, I like to give people, a little bubble of safety that it is okay if you enjoy having someone say hello without, screaming at you or saying, yeah, we missed something here. Can you fix this? Or, asking to help fix a problem, either one that I caused or one that you caused. We don't have to make that a combative thing. We don't have to, make it a fight, and we also don't have to pretend like neither one of us exists. If I'm just going through the grocery store, I watched people, through the regular checkout line before the self-checkout became a thing. They would just, not even acknowledge the person. Like, this isn't Rosie the robot that is running your groceries here. It's just, how do we dismiss whole entire organic beings? Like, there's a breathing, sentient human being right there, and doing my phone, doing my thing, doing my own little world that's so unattached to their own sentience that can't connect with anybody else's. And I understand the idea that we have to be careful how we're connecting our sentience, because there are those that will go, oh cool, the energy vampires, they'll latch on and they'll be suckling for 3 days, or however long they can. So I mean, we have to be very careful, but that just comes with having boundaries. But boundaries don't have to be an either or. I'm either wide open or I'm not at all. It's a skill, and I get it. And believe me, I bungled mine for 50 years at least, and still have to be careful sometimes. But, it isn't necessary to just lock everybody out or assume that you don't have any boundaries at all. That if I have boundaries, it means that no, I'm not, engaging, I'm not helping, I'm not getting involved in anybody's anything, and I'm not allowing them to do anything for me, or I only allow people to help me, but I'm not helping anybody else, into the entitlement stuff. I mean, there's just so many ways that can go out of balance, and it's creepy in every one of those directions. And entertaining, mostly entertaining, but sometimes it is straight creepy. So anyhow, I never meant to go into 30 minutes of it, and Hondo's looking at me like, yeah, zip it. So I'm done now. Yeah.